Testing. Hi everyone, my name is Darlena Babula. I did my presentation on FDA regulation of nutritional issues. I chose to do dietary supplements as my nutritional issue. A little background on how dietary supplements came to be. In 1920, they were originally introduced in order to help with nutrient deficiencies. So people were taking them to compensate for the nutrients that they weren't getting out of their daily food intake. The first dietary supplement is known to be cod liver oil. Um, Cod liver oil was consumed for its vitamin A and D content. As scientists discovered nutrients, doctors began to urge the consumption and incorporation of dietary supplements into the food supply to treat the nutrient deficiencies. They were incorporated into people's diets through natural constituents, as separate ingredients in processed foods, or as separate ingredients in dietary supplements. What are dietary supplements? So they come in many forms. They can be vitamins, minerals, herbals and botanicals, amino acids, and enzymes. And then you can consume these through tablets, capsules, powders, drinks, and energy bars. What do dietary supplements do? They help acquire the healthy amount of nutrients your body needs. There is actually scientific evidence to back up that some supplements are actually beneficial and do help improve your health. For people who don't eat a variety of nutritious things or have a balanced diet from the food pyramid, like for example, people who take vitamin C and D is to help them keep their bones strong and to minimize bone loss. Pregnant women often take folic acid, and it's to help prevent birth defects or the risk of birth defects in their babies. The fish oil, it's probably the most common, omega-3. People consume it to help their heart disease issues. So some of them can be beneficial to health. Now, the issues that surround dietary supplements is that the FDA is responsible for the regulation of dietary supplements. So in the US, over 23 million people use them instead of drugs. And then 30 million people use them in substitution of over-the-counter medications. So the problem is that people are substituting them for medications that would actually cure what they have for substances that don't necessarily treat what needs to be treated. Yes, some can prevent diseases or can help prevent future medical issues, but for a present medical illness, you have to utilize the medications that the doctor's prescribing you. So people consume them to assist in maintaining their health, but research shows that there's limited efficacy from supplements that are meant to prevent diseases. So there are some that work and some that don't, but they're not meant to be substituted out for medications. So why is it an issue? So the FDA is responsible for the quality, safety, and labeling of the dietary supplements. The FDA, although they do control a big part of it, they don't have full control to oversee the process of the making of these supplements. This leaves room for unsafe ingredients to be incorporated into the dietary supplements that people are consuming, and that leaves the quality to be questionable as well as the composition. So you don't totally know what you're consuming in some situations. So that's why it's important to do your background, check your facts, like run it by your doctor and make sure that what you're consuming is safe. So this, of course, since the FDA can't oversee the whole process and before it's released, it creates a question on the true efficacy of taking the supplements. So because you don't technically know what exactly you're consuming, it does make it unsafe. So that's what the problem is. But there are benefits of dietary supplements. The dietary supplements do, in fact, play a role in improving the intake of nutrients when you take them as prescribed or as recommended by a physician. Many doctors, nutritionists, and dietitians use dietary supplements on a regular basis themselves, so they do recommend them to their patients to promote the wellness and health of their own patients. Um, so the main reason physicians recommend them to their patients are for bone health, to fill the nutrient gaps, and overall to maintain wellness and health. So that's why it is important to consult with your physician before consuming anything so that you are advised what will be beneficial and what is safe and what is meant for you. Because also there are many supplements that can conflict with medications that you're already taking, or going into a surgery and you're taking supplements, and if your doctors aren't aware of them, it could have a bad reaction with anesthesia or things like that. There could be a bad chemical reaction between the supplements that you're taking, medication. So that's why you must always consult with your doctor. So an influencing factor that I found was interesting, besides the people taking them for their own health, like on a daily basis, is that a lot of people use them for like workout routines, and people who attend the gym regularly consume dietary supplements routinely. So I found a study that was done in Brazil. There was 1,100 participants taken from 50 different gyms that included both men and women. And the results were that 58% consume supplements rich in protein and amino acids. So like protein drinks that are so common amongst people. You like if you go to the gym and you see people drinking like their pre-workout stuff and their during workout stuff and their post-workout stuff. Well, that's mainly what it is. 32% consumed isotonic drinks. 23% consumed supplements that were rich in carbohydrates. Um, so sometimes people drink this to replace, like, if they're trying to gain weight, and because they're using so much energy during their workouts, they have to compensate for that in their meals. 19% consume multivitamin and mineral supplements. So overall, people use it to boost and increase their performance and then give them better results overall. The NCBI reports that since Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act, which is also known as DSHEA, was passed, over 150 million people started to use dietary supplements. People began to consume them to improve their health or to aid the health of their organs. So like people that use fish oils to help aid the health of their heart, to prevent diseases, and to give themselves energy, or even some people take them for losing weight to maybe speed up their metabolism, or like fiber to help them dispose of their food faster. People consume them regardless of the lack of evidence that shows that they're actually effective and significantly beneficial. So there are studies that are being done, but because there's so many diseases out there and so many different types of supplements, and not all of them have been out long enough to truly test if they're actually doing what they say that they're doing. So that's why there's really a lack of evidence. So, the FDA recommends a consultation with a health professional before beginning to take the supplements, as I said before, because you want to make sure that what you're ingesting is actually safe for your body and that you won't have any conflicts if you're already on medication. So, it is important to always talk to your physician. They're not meant to cure or treat a disease. They're not allowed to be marketed as a cure or a treatment for a disease. If they're not taken properly, they can be detrimental to your health. If they're consumed before or after surgery, the effects can be life-threatening, as I said before. Some of them can conflict with the anesthesia. It might not put you under, or it might put you under for too long. So you never know. The federal law does not require for supplements to be proven safe under FDA regulations before being marketed. So the FDA kind of monitors the products once they've been released to the public, which is why it's a little dangerous because they're not allowed to do anything until they're out in the open and people are consuming them. The FDA can only take action after the product has entered the market. So if a product may be unsafe, they can't do anything until there's results among people that is proving that this thing is giving bad side effects or whatever. So what is being done? There are regulations that are being implemented that companies have to follow, regardless if the FDA can oversee the process of the making of the supplements. They have to be labeled as supplementary. As I said before, they can't be labeled as a treatment or a cure for a disease. The advertisement of the product is monitored by the Federal Trade Commission or FTC. After the product has entered the market, the FDA must monitor it. Companies are required to report safety issues to the FDA. So if there are issues with it among the consumers, then they have to report it to the FDA or they'll get in some very deep trouble. It is illegal to market a supplement as a cure or treatment for a disease. FDA acts that have been passed in order to help the overall safetyness of this is in 1976, the Vitamin Mineral Amendments Act was passed. And that was, it gave the FDA the authority to limit the contents in dietary supplements for safety reasons. So just not a bunch of stuff has been thrown in there combined together for you to consume. In 1994, the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act I mentioned before, DSHEA, is for the dietary supplements to be regulated for food provisions under Food, Drug, and Cosmetic Act. Food additive provisions are to be replaced with separate safety requirements for both dietary supplements and ingredients. The DSHEA is composed of 3 procedural provisions that apply specifically to dietary supplements. The first being in the case of a civil enforcement action, which is if they were proven to be unsafe. Under civil enforcement action, the burden of proof falls on the FDA. So the FDA has to prove why they're unsafe or what makes the product unsafe. Secondly, the court must practice, it's called a de novo basis, which basically means there's a new trial. So after it's found unsafe, it has to be put on a new trial to analyze everything. And it's to address the issue of the adulterated supplement. The last step is that the FDA must present an oral and written views of at least 10 days prior to bringing the issue to the attention of the Department of Justice for it to become an issue of the civil court. And the last act of 2002, Public Health Security and Bioterrorism Preparedness and Response Act, gave the FDA even more authority to provide even more safety for the regulation of food supply. The controversy among the dietary supplements is that people don't necessarily understand that supplements aren't drugs, and people treat them as drugs. Like I said before, they substitute them for their medications, and that's not good for their health. Dietary supplements have received a lot of heat media-wise, but manufacturers are not allowed to claim that their products cure diseases, but they kind of hint to that sometimes. So, by definition, a supplement is something that is added to something to complete it. So, when medical articles are released and they advise against taking vitamins and mineral dietary supplements, it becomes like a controversy between people that choose to take them and their doctors that advise against it, and so on. People believe that there's a correlation between fish oil and prostate cancer. There's not, I tried to find some research on that, but there isn't really a lot that backs that statement up. But there are also cases where patients are unable to obtain all unnecessary nutrients, and that's what makes them have to resort to the supplements. So, in a lot of cases, that's why the doctors prescribe them, because they believe it's the best form to get the nutrients that they aren't able to get directly from whole food sources like everyone else. There are actually many supplements that exist that can be helpful to a patient. It just depends on the patient and the supplements and the case of whatever a patient has. So there is an issue in 2015 with the companies Target, GNC, Walmart, and Walgreens. And the FDA found that Target, GNC, Walmart, and Walgreens were selling supplements that didn't have the herbal medicine that they claimed to have in the label. So that is why you have to be careful when you're consuming them, because some dietary supplements can be safe when they're used and chosen appropriately, and also from reputable companies. So all four stores had to remove the products from their stores, and then they had to improve their supplement testing after this incident because it's put them under a lot of scrutiny. The Attorney General of New York had tested 5 supplements, and out of those 5, they found 4 that didn't contain the ingredients that they were saying that they had that were supposed to be beneficial to the people consuming them. So after this incident, new requirements were released to prevent something from this from happening again. So people were kind of getting cheated out of thinking that they were consuming something for one reason, and it didn't even contain the ingredient that they were consuming it for. So the quality and safety is constantly being monitored. So it is important for the clinician to set guidelines to a consumer so that, once again, you're consuming things safely. And these are my references.